What's up, fellas? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the San Antonio Spurs because this is a team and honestly a franchise as a whole that I'm just confused by. And I've been pretty critical of them, over the past 18 months or so. And this isn't necessarily like me being super critical of them. I'm just kind of talking through my confusion with the direction of the team and like the fact that there's actually a lot of promise here, and it seems like they're missing out on an opportunity to capitalize on that, and that's frustrating for me, and that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But really quickly before we get started, if you're new here, what's up? My name is Sucker. I upload NBA stuff twice a day on this channel every single day, so if you're looking for that type of consistent NBA content, this is a great place to be. You can also leave a like rating on the videos as well, and check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen and a link tree in the description below. You can check out every single social media that I have down there. With those things said, let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs. So kind of the headliner here is San Antonio has a couple of really good young players. Their second and third leading scorers are Keldon Johnson, who's 21, and DeJounte Murray, who's 24 years old. Their leading scorer is DeMar DeRozan. And they also have a 22-year-old in Lonnie Walker that plays 28 minutes a game and I think is a good player. Like, I like all three of those guys, and then Derek White is hurt, but I mean, I like him as well. So they've got a core of 4 perimeter guys that I think are really good. I'm not sure who they like the most out of that group of 4, but I think all those guys have a chance to be really good NBA players. Not necessarily, top tier all-star caliber guys, but good players. And on the roster as a whole, they only have 4 guys that are over the age of 26, and they're all significantly in their 30s. Aldridge, DeRozan, Rudy Gay, and Patty Mills. Everybody else is 26 years old or younger. So when you look at the roster as a whole, it strikes you as like a bit of a rebuilding group, right? With all the youth, the lack of veterans, the fact that not only the younger guys on the roster, but they're playing a ton. And so what I don't understand is, why have we not heard of any rumors about San Antonio moving any of their veterans, Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, or of course the bigger names being DeMar DeRozan or LaMarcus Aldridge? Because it seems like they're a fine team, but it might be tough at times for them to make the playoffs this year. And then, why would you not get future value out of the veterans you have on the roster? Because you have a nice little young nucleus here, and you're a piece or two away from being something significant for the next couple of years, rather than being relatively insignificant for this year and however long they want to keep the vets around. Now, a couple of reasons why we might not be seeing rumors coming out about the Spurs, or they want to keep the vets to give the young guys some playoff experience, or the possibility of a playoff experience, which you could argue about the value of if you really want to. I don't think it's incredibly valuable, but maybe. Veteran leadership potentially staying on the roster could be a huge deal to this group. Or there could just be no rumors because San Antonio is not leaking any of the rumors. Like, maybe they are actively looking at DeRozan and Aldridge trades and will have one before the trade deadline. But they're just being a little bit more tight-lipped about it than a lot of other teams typically are throughout the NBA. But of course, the bottom line is probably that as long as Greg Popovich is the coach, they're not really going to look all that seriously at rebuilding this roster in any significant way, even though they've pretty much already done it and they've got so many young guys. It's like Aldridge, DeRozan, Mills, and Rudy Gay are like the 4 guys that, are signaling that this is still a team to be taken seriously, when in all reality, they shouldn't be taken seriously. They're fine. They're not a bad team. But they're a team that appears to be stuck in the middle by their own choice. There's a very clear path here towards becoming a really good team over the next couple years. They're one significant high upside young player away from being a scary team moving forward. Because think about the players that they've developed, right? They've got the rookie this year that plays like 20 minutes a game, shooting okay from 3. All these different guards that they've brought in that have turned into good players: Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker. And none of those guys were highly drafted. Think about what San Antonio could do from a player development standpoint if they went and got somebody with a top 5 pick, or they went and got someone that has significant upside. Someone like, imagine San Antonio gets Marvin Bagley or something. They call them up like, hey, you can have DeRozan and stuff, and we'll take back the Harrison Barnes contract, and we'll take Marvin Bagley off your hands. Like, imagine what they could do with a player like that. They've developed young guys here for years at a disadvantage because they're developing players that are by definition less talented because they went later in the draft. And it's just frustrating that they won't use what is arguably their best resource at this point, and that is their ability to develop young players as a way to create a really good team, because it wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take more than a season if they got a really good young player to be right back where they are. It's not that difficult to be a 500 team in the West, which is what they are right now, and all they're doing is just continually holding on to veterans rather than allowing themselves to be a 500 team a year from now with significantly higher upside. So what I would advocate for, and what I've advocated for 18 months, is getting value out of the veterans. Yes, you might punt on half a season. You might not be great for the second half of the year, depending on what you get back in those trades. But if you get picks, if you get young players, if you get assets, and you're not that great, maybe you're within the top 10 of this draft. Maybe you can start to move up into the top 5 because you're trading away some of these other assets. And then all of a sudden, you've got your cornerstone guy. You've got some other guys that fit well around the cornerstone guy because you've got Murray, White, and Jakob Poeltl signed to long-term deals. And you go forward from there, but you need your one big-time player, and you're missing out on that opportunity. Think about the last 25 years of Spurs history and why, for the most part, you were so good during that time period. It's because you got the first overall pick one year and you got Tim Duncan. You can argue about all the other great things that they did in that time period, but without Tim Duncan, 90% of it is irrelevant, right? Think about if the Spurs at the time, and I know they didn't do it intentionally, but think about at the time if the Spurs never got Tim Duncan and they got like the 10th pick in that draft class. They would have done some things, right? They obviously knew what they were doing, but they wouldn't have been nearly as significant of a part of NBA history as they have been for the last 25 years if they never got Tim Duncan. So why not emulate that? You have the pieces, you have other players, you don't have to tank. All you have to do is get value out of Aldridge and DeRozan, prioritize the development of the younger players, and do what you can to get a high value, high impact, high ceiling wing or big and move forward from there. And Pop doesn't even have to retire at this point. He just needs to, punt on half a season and go and be aggressive and attack in a 2021 draft class that looks like a really good one. And the only reason this upsets me so much is because it's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious what they should be doing here. And I don't know, again, maybe they're actively looking at trades and they're just not letting the public know about them. But like, I don't get it. Like, I understand it, but I don't get it. I understand that Pop doesn't want to coach a rebuilding team and they want to continue to be a competent franchise. They don't want to tank. They don't want to be one of those other teams that is just tanking. And then, they still want to be the Spurs and they want to be proud. And that's fine. Like, you can still do that. It's a weird season anyway. Like, this isn't even a season that I would argue that you would want to be really good in because, things can change like that because you missed a guy for 10 games because of whatever protocol. Like, just go ahead and get value out of any of the 4 vets. I'm telling you, if you get value out of those guys and you start to creep up towards the top 10 of this class, and then you start to move up and you go into the top 5 and you get a big time player in this draft class, it would be game changing. Follow the blueprint of the past. Like, you know what you have to do, just do it. And again, as the title says, like, they just confuse me. Like, I don't understand why they can't see this, why one of the best, if not the best front office of the last 25 years doesn't see what's clearly right in front of him, and that is the opportunity to build for a significant future. And you can still keep Pop if he really wants to keep coaching. And, I'm sure there have been internal discussions had about how long Pop wants to continue to coach. And maybe it's just this year, and maybe they don't want Pop to go out on a tanking season. But at a certain point, don't you have to prioritize the franchise as a whole? Like, as much of a legend as Pop is, and as much as he's done for San Antonio, at a certain point, don't you have to prioritize the San Antonio Spurs? As great as Pop is, he's not the Spurs as a whole. And if you're actively making the next 5 years of your team worse to acquiesce, whatever Pop wants, assuming that's even the case, by the way, this is all, speculation. Isn't that, a disservice to the franchise as a whole, which is exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing? I don't get it. I don't get it. Make some moves, get some value for the vets, and within a year or two, you'll be back up. You'll be one of the up-and-coming teams in the West, and potentially, a really, really good team a handful of years from now. I just don't get it. And also, minor side note, I would also appreciate some clarity on which young guys you like the best, because you've got, you've got Lonnie Walker, who's playing a lot of minutes, who I think is good. Keldon Johnson, who I think is really good. DeJounte Murray and Derek White both are on long-term deals. And I don't know which guys you like best. Like, are Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson only getting minutes because Derek White is hurt? Or, do you like all 4 of them? Like, I need some clarity. That's all I want for the entire roster, is some clarity and some direction and going towards the thing that is very clear and obvious. Because I do think that teams will want LaMarcus Aldridge. I do think teams would want DeMar DeRozan. You're not getting 8 first-round picks for them, but you're getting something. Maybe you get an extra draft pick that allows you to move up in this class, and you go and get the guy that you really, really want in this class rather than settling for the 10th pick. Maybe you really increase your lottery odds to the point where you can get within that top 5 way easier. Just, please, I'm begging you, do what's right for the franchise, because it's clear that you're a fine team this year, but you have the possibility to be so much more over the next couple of years if you just make the correct moves. End of rant. that's going to be the end of today's video. As I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, you can check out the boxes on screen. You can check me out in all these different videos that I have down on the channel as well. You can sub to the channel, leave a like rating, and also check out those various socials in the link tree down in the description below. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.